All right, students. This week we will begin the decade of the swing 30s. This is quite a different decade than the roaring 20s. A lot of different things happen. So let's talk about what's happening with society and culture in the 1930s. So we can see a couple of pictures here. We can see what's happening. We have a youth culture, swing dancing. We got a new type of jazz called big band swing, and it is also the decade of the Great Depression. So what we get happening with the Great Depression, it began in 1929 with the stock market crash. It was the worst economic disaster that happened in America, and it ultimately resulted in 25% unemployment. It was a pretty bad time for everybody. The a great party that was the Roaring Twenties was over in the 30s. A huge natural disaster called the Dust Bowl occurred, where these dust storms just ripped through the Midwest, destroying the agricultural economy and displacing a lot of people. And they had all these families had to move out of the Midwest, adding to economic hardships. One of the, I guess, good things was prohibition was repealed. The government decided you couldn't outlaw alcohol. People were going to do it anyway, so they ended prohibition. It meant booze was now legal. The only problem was that was the death knell for the speakeasies. So between the economic hardships, where people didn't have any money, and that, well, now you can just drink booze at home. We don't have to go out anywhere. That really wiped out a lot of music work for jazz musicians. So what instead replaced the nightclubs and going out was staying home. So for entertainment, families would just stay home and listen to the radio. And the radio had all kinds of programs, music programs, drama, comedy. Again, it was like TV where people would spend the evening listening to the radio. No more going out. During the Great Depression, people went to the movies. The movies were really big. It was a way you could kind of escape the hardships that were happening. And the movies were comedies, fantasies, and Hollywood musicals. Now, how did jazz change in the 1930s? Well, the most important thing is that jazz evolved from this small combo stuff and just really started to move away from the collective improvisation to swing, specifically what we call big band swing, where it was arranged. So it was not a lot of jam sessions going on, but just well, you have these musicians, and the big band it is, even though it's arranged, leaves room for improvised solos. But it works in three main sections: the sax section, the brass section, and the rhythm section. And most specifically, is swing music was meant for the dancers. It was all about the dancers. You had to play music that people could dance to and wanted to dance to. And this big band music used something musically called riffs, which are really very short, repeated melodic or rhythmic phrases. And much big band music at the time is built on different riffs and layering different riffs, and also call and response, say between the sax section, brass, sax and brass, kind of having a musical conversation with each other. And I explain riffs a little bit more on my video intro to the week. Fletcher Henderson, you'll meet this week. See a video on Fletcher, and Fletcher's the father of the big band. He's the artist who really developed the template through his arrangements and his band of what the new swing music sounded like. You will meet Benny Goodman, and Benny Goodman during the 1930s was the most popular band leader, and he was dubbed the King of Swing. And it's Benny's band and the popularity of the band that really made swing in the 1930s America's most popular music. And it was the only time in America's history where jazz was its popular music. And besides being a virtuoso clarinet player, he was also the first major band leader to integrate his band. And this was during a time where something like that was unheard of. Some other great band leaders at the time, Glenn Miller, a trombonist who led a great big band of the 30s. These are some of his hits: In the Moon, Moonlight Serenade, Chattanooga Choo Choo, Tuxedo Junction, and another trombonist, Tommy Dorsey. Again, these guys led some of the most popular big bands. So that is your week. Hope you have a good one. Enjoy the music.